This episode is brought to you by Americas Rehab Campus. Get on the road to recovery with the best rehab in beautiful Arizona. Dial 1-833-272-7342. That's 1-833-ARC-REHAB.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are now tuned in to the Archer.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Artcast. My name is Buddha.
I'm Vance.
I'm Michaela.
And we are here once again. Today, we wanted to introduce to you guys somebody who plays a very, very vital role here at Americas Rehab Campus. She is a good friend of mine. We've had the blessing of being able to work together for the last couple of years in the clinical team before I moved over here to marketing. I want everybody who's listening right now out in podcast land, everyone who's an employee here, everyone who's a friend, let's give a big warm round of applause to our friend, ARC's very own recreational therapist, Jennifer.
Jennifer, thank you.
What's going on, my friend?
Not much. Thank you for having me.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. It's great to have you. How are you feeling today?
I'm doing good.
Yeah,
Nervous, but doing good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You like the new applause? See,
I
just
do.
keep it going for a little bit.
Yeah.
The other ones were not as good, man. So I'm glad. We need some real applause. Everyone here does such a great job. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So yeah, thank you so much for coming. I was
Welcome.
excited to have you.
Excited to be here.
Yeah, you are one of the OGs of the ARC.
That is correct.
You were here. When did you start?
I started June 19th of 2017.
Dang,
Wow.
that's awesome. And when you initially started, how many clients did we have at that time?
Maybe like 6 or 7.
Isn't that
Wow,
crazy?
that is crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, 6 or 7 clients. I know I introduced you as a recreational therapist here. Are you in recovery yourself?
No, I am not. But I have family members that is in a recovery. He is an alcoholic.
All right. Is that what made you kind of want to get involved in this type of a field?
No, I just like seeing the reward. I actually wanted to be a special ed teacher,
Oh, that's
but
cool.
then I couldn't pass a test. So I found this field through college. And then I loved just being in this field, working with people with disabilities, autism, Down syndrome, any kind of disabilities.
Yeah,
Just like seeing the success and the rewards that comes with it.
that's really
yeah, that's
cool.
wonderful.
So this was your first experience dealing with addiction, things like that?
No, before I moved to Arizona, I worked in the mental health field in Michigan where they had a day program for children, teens, and adults.
Okay.
So there was some addiction there as well.
And then when you initially got hired here, you said we only had about 6 people. That's crazy. I can't even fathom that at this point, right? And I remember you were one of the first people that I got involved with when I initially started here. And I remember, so Jen's job is very, very interesting. I love Jen's job. I think I've always thought about like, what do I want to do in this field? Be a therapist? What type of, field would I want to get into? And I like Jen's job because it has to deal with a lot of different stuff. Why don't you let people who aren't aware of what a recreational therapist does, let them know what your job title and what you do?
So what a recreational therapist does is that it teaches the clients here at the ARC how to have fun without using drugs or alcohol.
Yeah.
So a lot of people think they can't have fun without using, but that's not true. You can.
Yep.
Yes. Mhm.
True.
When I first started, we used to take the clients out into the community to show them that they can have fun in the community. We would play kickball. We'd walk down to Udall Park, take a kickball. We would go shopping to Walgreens a lot of times. We also went on trips. I think Buddha went on one of the trips with me. I think that was one of those first ones.
Yeah, that was one of the very first times we rode in the van together with full of clients in the back. We ended up going to the Titan Missile Museum one time. And I remember we also went to the zoo.
Yes.
One time we had Marcus coming on talking about the zoo.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? He was mad, you know what I mean? Shout out to Marcus if you're out there, brother. But yeah, no, I think it's a very important thing. We've always talked about, when I was a BHT, one of the therapists brought me over to the clinical team, and that's where Jennifer and all the therapists are. And, working with Jennifer, I started learning about different types of coping skills. And for me, the best coping skills are, for one, eating chocolate. Gotta have chocolate all the time, right? Second one is gardening. which we're amazing. You know, we have a garden here full of vegetables, things like that. Listening to music is another great one. And then the other one, you did a lot of this here too. What's the last one, Jennifer?
Working out.
There you go. So Jennifer's done a lot of those as well. She did like, you didn't do yoga, right? You did like calisthenics. You were beast mode.
I did the HIIT.
Yeah, she did the HIIT workout.
Oh, I love HIIT workouts. Not the most coordinated for the HIIT workouts. My sister and I went to an F45 class, and you have to like punch your hands and step up on step. And I was a dancer, so I'm coordinated.
Oh, yeah?
And I couldn't do it. It just did not connect in my brain. And my sister was like, it is not that hard. And I am like, something is missing. So it would have been very entertaining for me to be in your class.
I taught myself, and it was really hard. So, I mean, after a while, you do it so much, you get used to it.
Yeah.
Is this something that you instill in your kids as well?
Yes, exercising and playing sports. Yes. Yeah, but we also remember we used to do talent shows before Buddha moved over to the marketing as well.
Yeah, we used to do the talent shows. That was actually really, really cool.
Yeah, I miss that. We miss that. So.
Yeah, that was really fun. We used to get a lot. You know, I'm under the impression. This is one thing that I truly believe. Is anybody who has had something different where they could change the fabric of the world, right? Whether that's intelligence, being creative, being, like for Vance, for example, being an amazing athlete. We have amazing musicians, amazing people here that have dealt with addiction, right? And I do feel like people that are prone to addiction are also more prone to being very, very creative and very, very smart and intelligent people. Their brain just works differently. So we would have, I got with the clinical team when we were like at around 60, 70 people, right? So we would start doing these talent shows like bi-monthly, and we would have different artists, singers, athletes, people coming in like...
Artists, they were drawing, they were drawing or poetry or storytelling.
Amazing. Some of the most amazing art I've ever seen. I mean, I could remember one dude just did like a whole bunch of like pictures of different things of recovery, like pop-out pictures. He made like a whole... like almost like a spread for everyone to see when we did like the artist stuff. We've had some amazing singers come and just bring the house down. So, I mean, I know I'm not with the clinical team anymore, but I hope that those talent shows continue because that was such a beautiful thing to be able to see people open up and express themselves like that for the first time.
Oh, we might need to borrow you sometime just to do some of those shows.
Oh,
I can't
man.
without you.
Oh, man. All right. We'll have to plan that.
Also with the creativity, they always forget about how creative they are because of the drugs and alcohol. So what I'm trying to do is bring that back into their lives and bring the creativity. So I do a lot of art. I also talk about a lot of people don't realize, but there's a 12 steps to sober leisure. So it correlates with this 12 steps to AA, but it has to do with leisure. A lot of recovery places don't know about that.
No?
Yeah, I didn't know about that.
No.
I learned something new today.
Wow.
So yeah, because we don't do all the 12 steps to AA, but by the time they leave here, they should have done all the 12 steps to sober leisure. Leisure is very important in recovery.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, I definitely agree. And, you know, I know you do a lot of different types of things. Like we discussed the talent shows, we've discussed, the art and stuff, but I know you do stuff very specific too. What other things do you like doing with the clients?
We also have done a poetry slam where they write poetries.
Yeah, those are fun.
Yeah, we just done a lot of parties. We've done Christmas parties, Thanksgiving parties. Before COVID hit, we had families come and visitations, a lot of competitions. We always forget about the competitions. So I do a variety of activities and games with them.
Yeah, and I think you touched on something very important is the fact of like we forget how to have fun without using. We forget how to have fun. We're too stuck on, man, I need to feel good to be able to enjoy this and that. When ultimately, man, like, whenever you're in that cycle of using, it's like you can't really appreciate the amazing things in life, like family, friends, that leisure time that you have. So it's good to get people's hands dirty back into gardening, back into finding out who they are, talking about those types of things, seeing these artists and amazing people speak out about. We just had a couple rappers that came into the studio here like a few days ago, and they were talking about how they wanted to start making music for God. They're like, I want to start getting, making some Christian music and doing things like that because I just feel His Spirit. I need to start making some music. It's like, cool, man. But they come in here and finally that cloud or that veil gets lifted from their eyes, and then all of a sudden it's like they start remembering and
that you
feeling
can
good.
have fun. Yeah, it's so crazy to me because I feel like this is a more known topic now and like has a name where people are saying the terminology sober curious. But like in college, when we would go out and do things with friends, I wouldn't drink. The amount of times that I was asked, you can have fun while you're not drinking. And like, I almost have more fun when I'm not drinking because I am in control of my body. I don't feel sick or dizzy or hot or any of the things that you get affected by. And now it's becoming a more common thing to go out and, be out without drinking or without doing any substances. And it's, got the term going sober curious, where people are trying to live life with a curiosity for being sober. And I think that that's something that used to be questioned, like, why are you doing that? Why can't you have fun? And now it's like, well, we should try this. Like, it's the new in thing, which is kind of interesting.
Well, also, you remember the stuff that you've done. Have fun. You remember it. So you can talk about things and what you've done the night before when you were drinking or high. Usually people cannot remember what they were doing before. So it's different. Plus, football season's coming up.
Oh, yeah.
So, we've done Super Bowl parties here. They can know how to have fun watching football or sports or anything.
Oh, yeah. No, we've done some cool stuff. Like, we would do, like, this Jeopardy thing or, like, this, like, music trivia stuff where we would have candy. And because we have so many people, I mean, we'd buy some candy. Like, we had a lot of candy. And we would have, like, we'd do music from, like, 60s, 70s, 80s. And it's just me and Jan, like, where you have all these people in there, and it's so fun because it's just like, everyone's having a good time. They're actually, they're getting their candy, they're listening to some good music, they're having fun again in a group setting, men and women, where they're able to just experience that happiness and that joy. I do love that, most definitely.
I had a question. She you used to work in the mental health space?
Yes.
And so when you guys were talking, that's why I was just listening, going back to my memories of my childhood and even my college years, because I never used drugs, alcohol, or anything. And I went to college on a art scholarship, and I didn't use not one time when I was in college.
Oh, wow.
When I was an athlete. And so what I wanted to ask you was, since you were working in that mental health space, what happens with the people that are still dealing with mental illness and they're in treatment and you're trying to get them to do the things that you mentioned?
It's hard. They have to realize what they like to do, especially when there was young children, because we've had, back in Michigan when I was working, we had this young child as 2.
Wow.
In our program. It was a day program, so we would have to find art. We would have to do a lot of variety things. It was hard to even get them to do those stuff.
Yeah.
Because they would either have like bad tempers, tantrums, and they didn't think they could do anything of that. Even adults too.
Yeah.
Working with adults, because there was a variety of ranges. It was difficult.
And I do think, we always talk about, or at least I do, I always talk about how love conquers all things. I think for most people dealing with addiction, I mean, for the most part, we hear constantly that there's always some sort of a root cause for why they use. Either it's abuse, there's something that's happened to them that they use to mask the pain that they feel. So I think when we have clients here and we're able to approach them with love and be like, hey man, this is what we're offering, this is what we're doing, I really do feel like one of the questions is like, what are you good at? You say you're not good at something, like what are some of your natural talents? What are your God-given abilities that God gave you? Like what are some of the things you like doing? I love helping people. Think about that. You love helping people. Maybe you should get a job as an RSS or something and come help people. Or like, what is it that you like doing? So do you find it difficult to have like the clients doing that? Like, do you see them opening up more in your program?
After a while, they open up and they realize that they are trying to find their true self, their authentic selves. At first, they can't remember what they like to do. But after a while and being in my classes, they start realizing what they actually like to do and want to do. So I help them figure out what they want to do and show them how they can do it.
That's really cool. And what are some things that you would like to do in the future? Like, have you ever thought about like, man, we should be able to do this and do that,
Well, I would like to eventually take them back out into the community.
Yeah.
Take them to different museums, take them to different places. A lot of clients would love that and enjoy that.
Oh, that would be cool. Yeah. Maybe we can get them to like a football game or something at the U of A. That'd be cool.
That would be very cool.
Oh yeah, I'm excited for this season, man. You got the Broncos, the first game of the season coming up here next Monday, I think.
So when they go through this here at the Arc, how do you encourage them after they leave the Arc? Because sometimes they go back to their old ways. Because while I'm listening to you guys talk, I'm just thinking about all the people that I talk to that end up relapsing. So how do you encourage them when they leave to keep doing what you were showing them and teaching them when they were here?
I tell them to keep all the stuff that they do here with me, like the art stuff, so they can remind and look back at it. I also say to look back at the 12 steps to sober leisure. I also say a lot of times, because of detox pictures of them, they keep those to look at that. Do you want to end up back here like that? Or do you want to keep continuing? Because sometimes visual, a lot of the therapists are having them make vision boards. So they can. I
apologize. Sorry. Motorcycle just drove by, guys. It's real life. Go ahead.
See what they want to do. Because a lot of times when you make vision boards, the goals can come true. You just have to think positive. Tell them to think positive. Things will happen. Not going to happen overnight, but if you keep working on it, things will happen for you.
I like that visual concept you mentioned.
What's something that you've enjoyed the most about being with ARC as we've grown? Since we started with such a small number to now, like what has been the most impactful or most special thing to watch as we've made that change?
Actually seeing some of the clients way back coming to work here and being sober and the sobriety that they've had so many years. Like the RSSs, the BHTs, even the cook. Yeah, there was a lot.
That's actually something good that just the goodness that comes out of what going through the process here can do, and to set people up to continue, just like Vance was saying, how to continue success. Have the goals to come back, and then people here are sharing their real life experiences and what they went through here to help more people go through.
I think there's a different dynamic, especially me, myself, not being in recovery, right? You're not in recovery. No. There's a few people that we have that work here that are not in recovery. But I do think that this type of a job, this type of a field definitely puts a toll on your soul, puts a toll on your happiness sometimes. So to be able to come into an environment like that, especially like how you said, being here since 2017, seeing so many people coming in, I mean, thousands of clients a year, and to be able to see those success stories, those people that are changing their lives for the better, sometimes coming to work here with us or just coming through the aftercare on Wednesdays, like that is such an amazing feeling. And it makes you feel like you're doing something with a purpose.
Yes, it does.
So, I mean, I know we were talking about you said the 12 steps to leisure?
Sober leisure.
The sober leisure. Do you happen to know any of those, like off the top, for anybody who's listening?
I do. And step one is that we admitted that we were powerless over our addiction and that our leisure choices had become unhealthy and self-destructive.
We are powerless. And I think as a faithful man, I see that as God's in control, ultimately, not us. So many of us think that we're in control, but we are not. We don't have power over what happens to us and the things that happen to us. Right? Okay, so that's number one.
Step two is come to believe that sober leisure can help restore our physical and psychological well-being.
There you go.
So that comes in with exercising and getting our mind back.
Yeah. Well, one of the things we talked about earlier, like with the gardening, I feel like gardening is so important. People think of it as just like, oh, you're getting plants, you're putting them in the dirt.
No.
But God nurtures us from seed. He grows us and he takes, that's the way that I see it. So it's like you're getting your hands dirty. You get an opportunity to see something grow from small to big, and the harvest and all the hard work that it takes.
You're planting a foundation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Doing is by planting that seed and seeing it grow. So right now our clients are planting a foundation just by being here.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay, so that's number two.
Yeah.
And then what's number three?
Made a decision to incorporate sober leisure as part of our new life in sobriety.
All right.
So we have to incorporate leisure activities into our daily schedule.
It's got to be like, you have to do that. You can't skip on that. You have to make sure that you are like adding something physical into your life.
Something fun, something that you enjoy doing, but don't put so much in it that you overwhelm yourself either.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's something good to incorporate into our lives, because I know that sometimes I get so busy that I get to the end of the day and I'm getting in bed and I'm like, I didn't even stop for 2 minutes to take a break and enjoy something. And so I've like really, really been practicing, getting up out of bed, making my cup of coffee and just sitting for a second. And that's something so simple, but that we get into this lifestyle where we're just so busy and we're so on the go and everything's, how can we get this done faster? Do this, do that. And that we forget to like just slow down for a second and enjoy the moments, because even the simple things can be enjoyable, like a cup of coffee.
Absolutely.
Definitely. We need to enjoy ourselves. We need to slow down right now. Everything's going so fast.
Yeah.
We need to take time for ourselves.
That's awesome. All right. So I want to keep going. I want to hear the rest of these. What's number 4?
Made a searching and fearless inventory of our interests, strengths, and weaknesses in leisure.
Okay. So going back to, trying to show people what are your strengths, what are your talents.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. It also makes me think like, when I was in one of my youth groups, we identified our triggers. Like what is something that could potentially make you stumble? Like, okay, somebody maybe used to really, really get drunk at football games. Well, then maybe that's not something you go back to doing.
Yeah.
Maybe you watch a football game from home with one loved one instead of in a bar or at this field, or, identifying where you could stumble.
Yes. And a lot of times people have trouble going past step 4, even in the regular AA, because they have to look at themselves. They have to reflect and be honest with themselves, and it's the daily inventory.
Yeah, and that's a hard thing, being honest with yourself, taking responsibility for your mistakes, your actions, what you do, and how you treat others. It's not easy, but I definitely feel like there is some light at the end of that tunnel if you're able to do that, you know? All right, and what's number 5, Jen?
Number 5 is admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of the impact our unhealthy leisure choices and behaviors had on ourselves and others.
All right. Vance, we've talked about living in the flesh a lot. That to me is living in the flesh, being open about, how those leisure activities that we have been involved in the past are not necessarily the best for our mental health, for ourselves, So that's a big one.
Yeah.
What else we got? What's the next one, Jen?
Step 6 is we're entirely ready to correct our defects of leisure.
Okay.
So finding leisure activities that you enjoy doing and not doing the negative ones, finding positive, healthy
That's good.
activities.
All right. What's after that? When you were at 6, what's number 7?
Step 7 is humbly sought guidance about our doubts and fears about sober leisure.
Ooh, okay.
That's a good one.
A lot of times people are afraid of being sober because they don't know if their friends are going to like them sober. If they're going to be good at sports if they're sober. They don't know because it's a totally different life for them being sober.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like eliminating the fear of the unknown.
Correct. Yeah.
That's crazy. We had a client one time that said, and this made perfect sense. He was an RSS actually, and he said the same age that you are when you started using is the same age you are when you stop. So like mentally, as we get older, we get into relationships, we get into fellowships, we get into work, we start learning responsibility, how to handle our lives but if you started using drugs at 11, 12 years old and started getting harder and harder into them, and then finally you're sober at 35, I mean, how have you been able to process those emotions and those things that are going on in your life,
Yeah, you haven't.
So thinking about what you said, that one, it seems like that's another hard one
Yeah.
right there,
You don't know how you're going to fit in. How you're going to fit in with your friends or family or if you're sober.
Yeah. I think that might be another thing too, like for anyone who's done long prison terms. I mean, coming out, like I think of my uncle coming out after 16 years, like the world changed. Like there's smartphones now, you just touch. And it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like I try and think about that. Like, I mean, that definitely takes something special to be able to have to reach deep and down in yourself and figure that out,
It does. And I wish a lot of times with like jails and prisons would have the community reintegration because a lot of times they come out, but they don't know how to behave and they don't know how society is. And so what they do is they do something bad to go back there because it makes them more comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Next one. I got to hear this next one.
Step 8 is made a list of all the people we didn't spend leisure time with and become willing to spend more time with them.
Ooh, that's a deep one.
Yeah.
But I kind of like that one because in my mind, that makes me think like, okay, the people that I probably cut out of my life because of my choices, that I probably shouldn't have cut out of my life because I cared about what they were thinking of my choices. Yeah. Those are the people you want to reintegrate with. Those are the people that care about and love you. So
yeah. And Matt, the last episode, I know you weren't with us, but Matt was talking about how like, we can't we shouldn't cut people out of our lives because they're human and they make mistakes. Like relationships and friendships mean a lot more than that. So I think that's one that kind of hits home for me because some of the personal stuff that I've been dealing with. I've told Jen some of it. Like, it's pride sucks sometimes because it's like, man, this person really upset me. But it is very easy to cut people out of your life. It is very easy to do that. But look at what you're sacrificing when you do that. Instead of using it as an opportunity to help somebody grow or to help a relationship grow. Of course, there are definitely situations where you should cut somebody out of your life, and that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about those pieces on the floor that could easily be fixed, but most of us don't do it because we're lazy or we don't want to put in there.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes it takes that effort and you grow if you do put in the effort. But I mean, a lot of the times it goes back to how we're so busy in our day to day. We don't want to pause and take the time to sort through it. And, that might bring up some feelings we don't want to feel. So if you just cut it off, it's easier. But,
Very true.
All right. What else we got, Jen?
Step 9 is made direct plans with such people to participate in sober leisure activities.
Okay.
So reconnecting with the ones that you've heard.
Okay, that's a good one.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, that one's kind of self-explanatory right there. So and then what do we got? We're at 9 already?
We're at 10 right now.
Okay, what's number 10?
Step 10 is so continue to take inventory of leisure choices, and where there was an imbalance, promptly took steps to correct it. So there was an imbalance, basically bad activities. You wanted to change it to good, positive activities.
Okay, so you're finding all the little imperfections. You know, I worked out, but I would go have 2 beers after my workout.
Yeah.
Now I still have my stomach, and it's not helping me.
Go to the gym and then get yourself a protein smoothie.
Yeah, there you go.
Exactly.
An acai bowl or something like that.
Ooh,
All right,
I can get down. with
those are so bomb.
So I like step 11 a lot.
Okay.
Sought through play and recreation to improve our conscious contact with our authentic selves. So finding the true self, finding who you were before your addiction took hold.
Wow.
That's good. I feel like that's something you can do even when you're not in recovery, because I think that we live in a world right now where we're trying so hard to fit this mold of what they're putting on TV and billboards and music and this and that and everything. And it's like, it's tiring to try to keep up all the time. So if you can just own who you are and be okay with it and who God made you to be, then.
You know what? Okay, so I don't mean to go off on a little tangent, but this is something that I need to say. Growing up, I remember, you guys know I love music. I used to watch the MTV Music Awards religiously. Like that was like my thing as a kid, right? I used to love watching the awards. People that I love listening to are going to be getting awards. My wife and I the other day, and this scares me because I have small babies. Okay, my babies are 10 and 8. They're my babies. I don't care how old they get. They're always going to be my babies. Yep. We were just like, hey, let's see the MTV Movie Video Awards. We haven't seen them since like 2003. Let's just see what's going on. I could not believe how sexualized everything was on that show. Like, I mean, I'm getting the chills even thinking about it. Like there was figures, like holograms of just booties clapping. Like for reals?
Yeah.
Like how do you do that with small children? Like that's one thing that I wish I knew more about is like, how do you protect your families in this modern day and age, trying to be faithful, trying to live the best way that you can? Like, how do you protect them from some of the stuff that they see? Because I know generationally, right, as we get older, it's always like, oh, well, you know, I remember when I was younger, it was always like my mom, your music sucks. It's not what I grew up with. And my mom's has good taste in music. She listens to disco. Shout out to disco. I love disco music, you know, but my mom's music was different than mine. And I know mine was different, but there was substance. There was still substance in that music to me.
Yeah.
I listen to this stuff now and I saw what was going on and like, you know, all of these things. And I'm like, where is the substance? How do you protect young kids from that?
It's hard. It's something I think about often. And my sister and I talk about it a lot, you know, with her getting ready to get married and just like what life could look like. And I truly think I will be a homeschool mom. And I think I will build a community of other moms where we can do it together, because like I've been keeping up with some of the things that they're allowing in elementary school, and it's stuff that I didn't even find out about until the end of high school. And I'm like, that's a huge age gap. And it's scary because it's our whole world. I mean, when you pay attention to when you're driving and this and that, and it's just a really, really interesting world that we live in. And like, I'm very grateful for the time frame that I was born, because I think I was kind of that last group of kids that, you know, grew up without the cell phone and the iPad and the
you knew
tablet.
What the dirt felt like, and you knew what color the sky was.
Eat dirt. Like, you know, we're supposed to eat dirt because, you know, immune system.
Yeah. And like getting to experience like childhood. Like when I think of like me, I am going to be that crazy mom that everybody's like, oh, that mom doesn't let her kids have iPads. I don't even want my kids to know iPads exist. I just want them to play outside. I want them to get dirty. I want them to experience me yelling that dinner is ready when it's starting to get dark. Like truly having the innocence of a child, because it's getting taken from them so young.
It has been. And I used to grow up, you know, we didn't have to come in until the street lights were on. But now we can't do that because you hear about all these kidnappings. You hear about these things.
Yes.
It's very scary.
It's crazy. And, you know, not to play devil's advocate or anything, but it's like, how do you, like, I think the thought of being a homeschooled parent, raising your kids that way is an amazing thing. But then, like, you know, I also think of some of the beneficial things that we did learn from going to school, like how to deal with bullies, how to deal with people who are jerks, and how to, like, you know, you start seeing how certain kids were and certain things like that, and it kind of makes you understand like the human interaction. Like,
Totally.
I can't help but think of that Jurassic World movie where they talk about raising the raptors together because they get social skills. Like, I feel like it would be a hard balance to do that as a stay-at-home parent.
Well, and I have a very interesting upbringing because I actually was both. I was homeschooled and I went to public school.
Okay.
So I did pre-K and kindergarten in a Christian school, and then did first grade. And then second grade, I ended up getting really, really bad anxiety as a child. And so my mom decided that it was better for me to be home than in school, so we could deal with my anxiety.
Yeah.
And I was homeschooled from second grade until fourth grade. So I did a couple years at home. And it was, my mom had a community. We would go to different people's houses. So we were still socialized.
Okay, that's cool.
And then I went back in when I was old enough to like deal with my emotions. And for me, I needed that. That was important. But I'm like, I think in my mind, I'll homeschool till they're at an age that they can understand their choices and that innocence isn't stolen from them. Because
man.
I sided with Michaela.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And, you know, I do admire that. I do. I guess I see, like, I love my wife, but I know the kids stress that woman out. They stress me out. And it's like to be able to bounce. And not to get too far off topic, but I feel like there's parents that listen to this podcast. Like, you know, I mean, these are real concerns that I think of. Like, I try my best, and it just like sometimes it just get over flooded. Like,
well,
man.
and you think of what children now are being introduced to at so much younger of an age. Like in 10, 20 years from now, what age is going to be the common age for a child's first drug use or alcohol sip? It's going to just keep getting younger and younger. And so it's important to talk about this.
It is. That's probably the reason why you didn't grow up an addict.
Yeah.
And it could be. I mean, I had to learn how to cope with my anxiety, and I'm still an anxious child, but but I'm doing a lot better with it.
As you drink your coffee.
Yeah. No. But I was able to learn the skills, and you know, I think had my mom, you know, not been in a place where she could homeschool me and take me and bring me home to figure out why I was having those anxieties and learn how to cope, like, where would I be? Like, would have I chosen something else? Would I have, because coming home allowed me to still focus on my schoolwork and learn without falling behind. And then when I went in, I just really focused on my schoolwork. But it's a really, I always go back to, it's just such an interesting world we live in right now because there's so many extremes. And like, somebody could be listening and thinking, man, that girl's going to have sheltered children. And you know what? I might, but I'd rather have sheltered children than have them be at risk for things when their age is just still so young. Like there should be this innocence to a child.
I was sheltered growing up, and I went to, you know, private school and a public school, and I still feel sheltered sometimes.
Yeah. And
I know my husband at one time wanted to homeschool my kids just because with all the stuff that was happening at schools, shootings and stuff like that, and that's worrisome.
That's another thing.
So, I mean, I couldn't do it. I know I couldn't do it with my kids. They're 12 and almost 9. They're very hyper.
Yeah.
So
No.
you have to have a lot of patience. And I love my kids dearly, but it
is an added thing, but that's where I think it could be. I have a friend that's doing it, and she's got 5 moms that they knew from church, and they switch. Mm-hmm. So every 4 weeks, you have the kids for a week.
Wow.
And
that's cool.
It's a lot of kids, but then you have a break, then you have a healthy break, you know, and you're still involved, and it's 5 people that know what they want for their kids. And, you know, maybe there's too many kids, so then 2 moms go, but then 3 moms still have a break for, you know, 3 weeks of the 5 weeks. And that's helpful on the parents, and the kids are socializing, and it takes work, and it's tiring, and it's a full-time job. But I think to myself, I'm like, man, that would be.
And you know what? I think you've touched on a very important thing. We've had people in here that talk about how when they were getting sober, they had no clue that a rehab even existed. Mm-hmm. So I think about the parent, the mother or the father that thinks, you know, I would love to homeschool, but I can't do it by myself. Like, use social media as a tool. Find some sort of a community like that to be able to, because that's cool. I didn't even know something like that existed.
I mean, when we grew up in North Carolina, when we moved, our neighbors switched making dinners each night. So the moms only had to cook 1 night a week, and they just made a big meal. Everybody ate what they ate. And then, so there's just so many things you can do to help yourself that you may not think of, but you just got to get creative.
Wow,
which
that's
dives
cool.
back into the steps of allowing yourself to be creative.
Yep.
Hey, I don't know who needed to hear that, but that's for you out there, man. I hope that helped
The
you
tangent
somehow.
was good.
Yeah, I think so. Thank you guys. That felt good. I
Yeah.
needed to get that off my chest.
So I think we have one more step,
One more.
right?
Correct. Yes, we do.
That's awesome.
Having had an awakening as a result of engaging in sober leisure, we try to carry the message to others seeking recovery and practice sober leisure on a daily basis.
All right.
That's what Michaela just did.
Yep, she did. She did. That's why I raised my hand up. And you know what's crazy? Not to talk about me at all, but when I initially started doing like the workout groups, right?
Yes.
My thing was never drugs. My thing was food, and I was very, very, very unhealthy. ARC gave me the opportunity to do workout groups with the clients. And over that time, I started building confidence in myself. Like, hey, like I'm starting to feel good. Like the worst part of my day is not putting on my shoes anymore. Like I'm starting to feel really, really good. So that one hits me because I do feel like with repetition, staying busy, you talk about how your dad used to make you do push-ups and run and stuff. Like, I think that teaches you like what you're made of. And like, you know what? No, I could live this way.
Well, and I think a lot of the times too, people are under the assumption, I think, that being consistent is 100% every single day. And being consistent is not that. Being consistent is 100% on Monday. Maybe I'm only 25% on Tuesday, but I still did something. So it's like, you know, if you're looking at it from a workout perspective or whatever it is, like maybe on Monday you crushed your workout and you left feeling so proud of yourself. And on Tuesday, maybe you had the worst headache of your life. And so you walked for 10 minutes. Well, guess what? You walked for 10 minutes. So that's wonderful. And just being that consistent, like, my boyfriend Scott is always saying to me, he's like, it's just consistency, my dear.
Yeah.
Because my anxiety crutch is isolation and food too. Like I will bake something and then I will eat whatever I bake. And
did you say isolation in food?
Yes, no, which is not healthy.
So you'll eat by yourself. All of those amazing stones.
Separately. But I when I start to get super anxious, I start to self-isolate. I will not go do stuff. I will not go hang out with people. And it's something that I've recognized now. And I push myself to still go do things with close friends when I am feeling anxious or whatever it is, because I've coined a new term. I don't know if this exists, but I say that there is situational depression and situational anxiety. So like situations in your life that just can kind of be really, really close to tipping you off the edge. And so those are those moments where I'm like, okay, I need to make sure that I am doing something that adds to my life. You know, a small barbecue with just one other couple. Yeah. And then I've like got the comfort of Scott with me, but then I've also got some friends and we're laughing and we're filling each other's cup without the pressure of, oh my gosh, I need to have a feast for 12 people prepared in this huge party, because I'm a party thrower. I love to do get-togethers for all my friends. But sometimes the idea of doing that is anxiety. So it's knowing that just choosing, even if it's only giving 10% that day, that I'm proud of myself for giving that 10%, because then I'm setting myself up for the next day. Maybe I do 12%, you know? So breaking that thought in our head that we have to be 100% every single day to be able to be consistent and see progress. You don't. You just need to show up for yourself, even if you only show up for 12 minutes.
I agree. And I'm actually curious, like Vance, I know you said that your pops used to push you with physical activity. As a kid, I could only imagine that it probably wasn't your favorite thing to do at first, right?
No, it wasn't.
But at what age did you start being like, man, like, yo, there's actually something to this. Like, I'm actually getting really good at what I'm doing.
When I started realizing when I was competing against my teammates, it was the reason why. It was because what I was doing behind the scenes that was making me better than them when I was competing with them on the field.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. See, you know what I mean? Just being able to prove to yourself. I like that. I like that. Well, man, that's really cool. Thank you so much, Jen, for coming and sharing that.
Thank you.
You know, this is always a blessing. I always love sitting here with you guys. This is such a cool thing. I love it so much. I just really want to thank you, Jen, for coming. You are definitely an amazing person, and I've loved working with you so much. And, you know, you're my heart. I'll just throw that in there. Didn't mean to put that effect there. You know what I'm saying? But no, ladies and gentlemen, give it up to our recreational therapist, Jen. She's awesome, man. Big round of applause to her. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much for blessing us with your presence and coming through and, you know, sharing those 12 steps of leisure for people that may be listening and stuff, because I think there's someone out there that's going to definitely help. And I know it helped me, and I appreciate it very much. So thank you very very much for coming and joining us.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been another episode of the RCast. Please hit us up, man. If you guys want to be on the show, we would love to hear your testimony. It's always an amazing thing to be able to share. Our email address is thercast6944@gmail.com. We started posting up all of the show notes and things like that on our Instagram page. Make sure you guys are going over there. And please just make sure to share and show this podcast to somebody else, whether they're in recovery or a family member, whatever it may be. You know, we always love and appreciate you guys very much. We hope you have a beautiful rest of your week. Much love and God bless.
Thank you.
What's going on, everybody? This is Buddha from the RCast, and I just wanted to thank you for checking out this week's episode. It means a lot, and if you could share it with a friend or a loved one, somebody in need in recovery, or maybe somebody who just needs that little bit of extra positivity in their life, we'd greatly appreciate it. If you would like to join us here on the RCast, either in the studio live or online, hit us up. The links are down in the show notes of this episode, and on there, you can find direct links to our main website here at Americas Rehab Campus and all of our social media platforms. Follow us. We keep the posts positive and motivational, focused on recovery, health, and wellness. As you know, in this modern day and age, we need as much love as possible, y'all. And as always, if you or somebody you know is in need of substance abuse treatment, please don't hesitate to give us a call. We're open 24 hours a day, and our direct phone number is 1-833-272-7342. Once again, that phone number is 1-833-272-7342. I hope you all have a beautiful rest of your day. Much love and God bless. Peace.